the son of Mattaniah, the son of Micah, of the sons of Asaph. Now listen to this. The singers in charge of the service of the house of God. Listen, when you read chapters 11 and 12, you're constantly reading about the singers. It's mentioned in chapter 12 about 4 or 5 times, and I'm going to say more about that in just a few moments, but the singers. You see, you need somebody in town, somebody in the church that will sing and gladden people's hearts. Music moves us. And we need singers. We need people who are optimistic, people who lift the spirits of others. We need a Barnabas, an encourager. These people would sing, and they would sing hymns of thanksgiving, psalms. They would sing the word. See, every city needs optimistic citizens, but so does every church need an optimistic member. Not people who say, well, I can't do this. No, like Joshua and Caleb said, listen, we can take this land. And the 10 comes along and said, no, there are giants in the land. No, we need optimistic people. So there's the strong, there's the supervisor, there's the servant, there's the singer. But if you look at chapter 11 and verse 19, we need security guards. Look at verse 19. Moreover, the gatekeepers, Akab, Talmon, and their brethren who kept the gates were 172. Listen, we've got a security guard on duty tonight. Every service we have here, we have a security team. They comb the parking lot, check the buildings, lock the doors, safety precautions. Every city needs a police department, needs a fire department, needs the first responders, needs the EMTs. So does every church. It needs people who look after their congregation. But then there's you'll find this in chapter 11 as well, but over in chapter 12, let me make reference here very quickly. Chapter 12, over to verse 7, Salu, Amok, Hilkiah, and Jedediah, these were the heads of the priests and their brethren in the days of Jeshua. And if you'll go on down to verse 9, Bakbugiah and Uniah, their brethren, stood across from them in their duties. You know what that word stood across from? It means they were the people who were not in charge of everything. They were the people who played second fiddle. They were the second fiddlers. Second fiddle. A guy was asking an orchestra conductor one day, what's the hardest position, what's the hardest instrument in the orchestra field? He said, without hesitation, second fiddle. He said, I can find plenty of first violinists. Everybody wants to be in the star. Everybody wants to be in the limelight. He said, first violinists, I can find plenty of those. He said, but it's the people who play second fiddle that are hard to find. And without fiddle, there is no harmony in the orchestra. These were the people who were willing to serve behind the scenes unnoticed. And let me just wrap this up very quickly because these last two things are not nearly as long as this one. I want you to know, if these walls could talk, what would they say? These walls would look around and say, look at this population. We've got the strong, we've got the supervisor, we've got the servant, we've got the singers, we've got the security people, we've got the second fiddlers. Warren Wiersbe, in his book, I'm sure Wayne's probably read this before, we both read him quite a bit, but Warren Wiersbe said, don't forget the sitter. You mean there are people just sitting around doing nothing? No, the fact of the matter is, Wiersbe said this. He said, never underestimate the importance of simply being physically present in the place where God wants you. Simply being there is a ministry. Just populating the city, the people were serving God in future generations. And some people think, well, I can't do very much in church except come and sit. That's your ministry. And by the way, before I move on, let me just say this. It takes a lot of people with a lot of skill to maintain a city. It takes a lot of people with a lot of skill to maintain a ministry. But let me add this very quickly. You will never be populated with any more people than you make room for. You will never be populated with any more people than you make room for. We had 14 babies in the nursery here about 2 weeks ago. Did you know that? In a little 2-room nursery, 14 babies. And a week after that, we had 11. I'll leave that there. Well, if these walls could talk, what would they say? Would you look at this population? The second thing, would you look at this celebration? I want you to go very quickly, and I'm just going to rush through this. Look at verse 27, chapter 12. Chapter 12, verse 27. Now, Nehemiah has gone back. He's he's orchestrated the work. The walls have been built. The people have been censored. The census has been taken. They've been registered. And they brought out the book. A revival is broken out. And what has happened here? He said they're celebrating, they're dedicating. And the walls would say, look at this population, but look at the celebration. Look at verse 27. Now at the dedication of the wall of Jerusalem, they sought out the Levites in all of their places to bring them